Hello and welcome to the Business Dashboard on City TV. My name is Bobie Osei. On the Business Dashboard today, cybercrime analyst alarmed over the volume of money involved in the financial sector. Also, bankers hope for new BOG directives on financial holding companies would avert collapse of banks in the country, and government to implement first port duty rule to stop smuggling at the port. Later on, we bring you a report on the increasing demand for rabbit meat in the country. Also coming up, we'll tell you how some Ghanaians are living under the current minimum wage. Details of these stories and others, including exclusive interviews, analysis on trending business issues. Don't go anywhere. For our first story for the evening, some financial observers are expressing worry over the increasing number of cyber fraud cases in the banking sector. The Finder newspaper today reported that the Financial Forensics Unit of the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service has arrested 12 suspects for attempting to electronically steal 326 million cedis from UMB Bank. Already, the CID has stated that cyber fraud could hit $100 million by the end of this year from the $60 million recorded in 2016. So what are the details of this latest cyber fraud attempt, described as the biggest cybercrime burst in recent history? There's more in this report.
According to the reports, a circus court last Friday remanded 11 out of the 12 suspects involved in the crime into the police custody to reappear on August 9, 2018 as investigations continue. On Friday evening, another suspect was arrested, bringing the total number to 12. The suspects, believed to be part of a wider cybercrime syndicate made up of Nigerians and Ghanaians, attempted transferring a whopping 326 million cedis from the vaults of UMB electronically. The bank detected that the amount was transferred electronically into the internal operational accounts of UMB and subsequently credited to the accounts of certain customers. According to the Finder, each account was credited with between 10 million Ghana cedis and 15 million Ghana cedis. It is emerging that even before the matter was reported to the police, about 1 million Ghana cedis of the money had been withdrawn from some of the accounts through automated teller machines in Dubai in the United Arab Emirates, using internationally accepted credit cards. City News reached UMB, but the bank declined to comment. Meanwhile, UMB in a statement has assured that the bank remains resilient and very committed to working with security forces to clean the environment of any form of cyber miscreants.
So, to what extent is cybersecurity a threat to the banking sector? Well, in the studio we have with us Mr. Philemon Hini, cyber forensic analyst with E-Crime Bureau, to explain to us if really, we are at risk with our sector. Boss, welcome to Business Dashboard.
Thank you very much. So,
for starters, how much of a risk is cyber security or cyber crime to Ghana's financial sector? Can you explain that to us?
Okay, so first of all, cybersecurity is not anything new. We've been hearing about cybersecurity when it comes to the security domain, but increasingly, you will notice that most of the traditional fraud that people commit using guns and other means have migrated to the technological platform. So meaning that instead of people walking into the banks, people walking to your house to steal, now they prefer to sit at their home to commit those crimes. And yes, there is a strong justification to that, because the risk to them is quite minimal, because you just sit behind a computer, you press a button and money hits into your account. And because of the, not the awareness per se, but because of most institutions do not prioritize cybersecurity as part of their main overall strategy, company strategy or policy. So it makes them very vulnerable to cyber attacks. So it's something very worrying, because when you look at the ecosystem now, there's interoperability, there's new technology coming in place, the demand for rapid developments, agile processes, which makes it very complex and introduces a lot of vulnerabilities.
But one may say that if you look at the numbers that are being mentioned, over 300 million Ghana cedis, that's close to the minimum capital requirement that the BOG is asking banks to provide. For a group of people to steal that amount of money, what's accounting for the increasing volume money involved in cybercrime?
Okay, so this is what we have heard, but I can tell you that that's just small. Yes, that's when it comes to cybercrime, that's just small. Most of these cases go undetected, and even if they are detected, they don't report it. We are just fortunate that this thing has come to the limelight. A lot of people know about it. But the ones that are not detected, the ones that even are detected, but because of the reputation of the organization, they don't report it. That one go far as more than even that value that you have just quoted. Now, mostly, it's gone are the days where you will see maybe a cyber criminal trying to hack your computer just for bragging rights. Now, it's financially motivated. They do this for money. And where is the money? It's in the financial institutions. So, if I have to target a hospital and a bank, which one will be your choice? Well, it's simply going to be the bank. Yeah. But unfortunately for us, most of the banks, based on our field, the crime bureau, our operations on the ground, most of the banks are ill prepared when it comes to cybersecurity. They don't put the system in place. Initially, we have this concept that the security, when it comes to cyber, is the job or the task of the IT administrator. But it's no longer like that anymore.
But one may say that, so I'm looking at solutions here. Yeah. One may say that all you need is a software. Get a tech company to put a software in there. But people like you are asking that the individuals that work within the institutions need to be roped in to offer a more holistic solution. Can you speak to that?
When it comes to cybersecurity is everyone's responsibility. You see, as I said, it's not the job of the IT administrator. It's not the job of the end user. It's the job of the board to enforce cybersecurity. Yes. So if you put the technology in place, there's no good security governance. Okay. You put the technology in place, you train people to use the technology, but the process in which the best practice, the manner in which those technologies should be implemented is not there. That's supposed to be a policy. So if the top management do not understand why they should invest in cybersecurity, the technology is not going to work. Because when you push for this technology, they wouldn't see why they should spend a lot of money in buying it. And again, you see that most of the IT department are cost-generating department. They don't bring in any profit. Okay. That's how most institutions see IT. So when you push for this shiny technology that this is going to protect us, it won't. And one thing that we have also realized being on the field is that people suggest technology to you without knowing the risks of your organization. Because every organization have a different risk appetite. So the solution that Bank A or Institution A bought might not fit in yours. But because Bank A says this solution defends against this threat, you also go in and purchase it. Okay. But the first thing to do is to do a risk assessment. Know your vulnerability first. When you know the vulnerability, then you can be able to put the right control measures to address it. But this cannot be done with top management's approval. They need their consent as to, that's what I'm saying, the board has to enforce it, managers have to accept it, and users, the IT have to implement it, and users have to abide by it. So end users, everyone has to practice good cybersecurity, cybersecurity health check.
So basically, so within all financial institutions and all institutions in general, the education needs to come from bottom all the way to the top.
Yes, education for cybersecurity awareness. Everyone within the organization, no matter what level you are, you need cybersecurity awareness.
You need cybersecurity awareness.
And practice cybersecurity hygiene.
Well, Philemon Haney, thank you so very much. Cyber security analyst with eCrime Bureau. Thank you so very much. Well, away from that, banking consultant Nana Otu Champon is hopeful that the new directives on financial holding companies should avert possible collapse of banks in the near future. The Bank of Ghana, in its latest directive for the financial sector, has outlined some guidelines for financial holding companies which insist on restricted areas they cannot venture into. Nanotu Champon tells City Business News the move is laudable.
The directive for financial holding companies joins the list of rules and directives issued by the Bank of Ghana to sanitize the financial industry. The document is in its draft stage and regulators are seeking input from stakeholders which will also determine the implementation date. According to Nana Otu Champon, the directive is necessary following the recent development, including the collapse of 2 banks and the subjecting to life support of others.
When an act is passed, a legislative instrument is issued to action a part of the act that needs certain things to be done. But this time around, Bank of Ghana has chosen the directive route instead of a legislative instrument. So certain parts that needed expansion, they are issuing directive to guide how those parts should be complied with so that you are within the law. So that is the relationship between a corporate governance directive and, for that matter, some other directives that the Bank of Ghana has issued and continues to issue to operationalize Act 930.
The directive for the financial holding companies, which comes 2 years after the passage of the Banks and Specialized Deposit-Taking Institutions Act 930, may qualify as rather too late. This is because it is needed to operationalize the provisions outlined in the Banks and SDI Act. But Nana Otuo-Champon maintains that timing may just be right to sanitize the financial sector.
Very, very early. Because if you do any cursory research into the laws of Ghana versus LIs, you will not be surprised to find that more than 80% of the laws do not, as we speak, even have LIs. So 1.5 to 2 years is very early.
How the Bank of Ghana is allowing financial holding companies to restrict their work to raising funds to invest in or provide support to their subsidiaries, the central bank is against the direct or indirect investment by a financial holding company in non-financial activities like commercial, agricultural, or industrial activities.
Now, rabbit farming seems to be gaining a lot of traction. Rabbit breeding has seen some expansion in the past 5 years, and it seems to be gaining some great prospects going forward. But how well do people know about the benefits of rabbit meat as demand for the meat increases? Today in our feature segment, we take a look at the rabbit business in Ghana.
Protein is a necessity in every balanced meal. The sources of protein include meat, fish and eggs. One major protein source that is gaining patronage is rabbit meat. This has also turned out to be a famous delicacy among Ghanaians.
If I want to compare the meat to other meat, I'll tell you that is the best in terms of taste.
So what do you use it for? Kebab and what is that?
Well, I use it for light soup.
Oh, really?
Yes, with fufu. And it's very delicious.
I visit some rabbit farmers in Tama to know more about this business. Richard Ni Aitekwe is a certified rabbit farmer who has been in this business for the past 7 years.
The farm, let's say in a day you could sell about 10. Per head is 50. Some you could get to 60 cedis.
Richard also owns an eatery where he treats customers to sumptuous delicacies such as rabbit kebab. The Vice President of the Rabbit Ghana Association, RABGA, Fred Bomponsem, believes proper funding from government to support the rabbit industry will boost the very lucrative industry and possibly for exports, as the industry has a lot of prospects to curb unemployment in the country.
We have noticed that a lot of people want to go into it. Some need finances because the initial capital to set up is it's quite heavy. An average size, at least 10,000 Ghana cedi to 15,000 cedi can set you up.
Deputy Director, Animal Production Directorate at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Dr. Abdul Razak, however, assures that some policies in government's flagship program, Planting for Food and Jobs, will cater for some funds for the farmers in due course.
I think it's something that people really like, and anywhere at all, at the national level, anywhere at all we have our shows, there's a huge patronage for it. So I think people like it. The issue has to do with the numbers. We don't have the numbers, but I'm sure as the consumption of rabbit meat increases, there will be more people to patronize it. So I think it's something that we look forward in the near future. I think it holds a lot of prospects for youth employment. In fact, when people come to us, and they have the intention of getting into any livestock enterprises, apart from poultry, which you think people can go into it easily, we also, tell them to go into rabbitry. On the part of the ministry, what we usually do is actually provide, the the technical, support for them. Government does not have the money ready to actually give out to every farmer. What we do is give them the support in terms of the technical support, the specifications, where they can get their breeds of rabbit, and how well they can take care of them.
I've heard it all from the rabbit farmers here in Tema. If they get enough funds for the unemployed youth in this country, they will be able to get most of them lucrative jobs to do. For City Business News from here in Tema, I am Jessica Ayoko Ai.
We're still to come on the business dashboard. We'll tell you how Ghanaians are struggling to survive on the current minimum wage, which is 9 cedis 68 pesos. We'll bring you back some more stories.
Tune in to The Point of View, Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. as Bernard Avlet takes the news further. He will bring the right guests, ask them the relevant questions, and get you the real insights you need on the big stories for the day. The Point of View with Bernard Avlet, Monday and Wednesday nights, only on City TV.
You're welcome back to the Business Dashboard. Yes, live on City TV. My name is Obiose. Let's take some more stories. Now, the National Tripartite Committee recently announced a 10% increase in the daily minimum wage. As a result, the new minimum wage is 10 cedis 65 pesos from 9 cedis 68 pesos. The change will take effect on the 1st of January 2019. The increment has, however, been met with criticism from some group of people who believe it is still too low. City News' Anita Arthur has more in the following report on how minimum wage earners are able to survive on their salaries earned.
Indebtedness, empty bank accounts, harsh living conditions, and unattainable pension plans are the common challenges facing the majority of Ghana's minimum wage earners. With the country's minimum wage currently at 9 cedis 68 pesos, translating into less than $3 a day, Ghana's minimum wage is one of the lowest in West Africa. However, moves by authorities to increase the figure by a substantial rate and also get employers to abide by the figure set by the Tripartite Committee has been met with enormous challenges over the years. So how do minimum wage earners survive on a meager figure of 9 cedis a day, and in some cases even less? It's 10:40 a.m. in Accra, and I am here to meet up with Amma, a sales girl in one of the shops in the capital city, to tell me how she survives as a minimum wage earner. Her dream is to become a fashion designer, but for now, she has to deal with the burden of taking care of her parents and her siblings on a monthly salary of 250 cedis.
I'm working for 2 years now, and when I came, my boss was paying me 250. I have a brother to take care of. It's an SHS. I save 50 cedis a month. 50 cedis a month. Then I give my mother. My mom is not working, so I give him 50 cedis. Then the rest for my income and like going in and coming out, my food,
Recent negotiations by the Tripartite Committee will see Ghana's minimum wage increased to 10 cedis 65 pesos from the current 9 cedis 68 pesos from the 1st of January 2019. Despite the increase in the capital city, Accra, which is the most expensive city in Ghana, cost of food, rent, transportation, as well as healthcare appears to be heavily knocking minimum wage earners off their feet. Mina, A hairdresser is another worker living below the minimum wage, and she shares her experience with me.
You can't imagine how it has been. With 2.5, I have to take care of my siblings and my children too. I don't have enough to even take care of my own self.
But some business owners have attributed their difficulty in paying better wages to the challenging economic environments.
I think that the business operating environment is also sometimes not too conducive for them, because once you are in such a working arrangement and you are selling and you are not getting your product out there onto the market, you are not making the margins that helps you meet your overhead costs. Certainly as a business person, you find challenges putting someone on a realistic wage.
Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, however, warns that employers who do not abide by the minimum wage will be sanctioned.
Any establishment, institution, or organization that flouts the new rate shall be sanctioned in accordance with the law.
For workers like Mina and Amma, they can only hope for a further increase in the minimum wage, as well as its strict implementation to make life easier for them. Reporting for City Newsroom, I am Anita Arthur.
Well, away from the minimum wage, let's turn our attention to energy. Now, the Institute of Energy Security, IES, is projecting that consumers should be paying more for electricity should government go ahead with the new arrangement on the Ameri power deal. The energy think tank believes that the new deal will increase the cost of electricity and burden consumers.
The Ameri deal was signed by the government in 2015 at a total cost of $510 million to provide 230 megawatts of power. The government wants Parliament to agree to a new deal that will see a new company pay off the cost of abrogating their earlier contracts with Ameri, while the country will resort to paying $50 million in capacity charges for the next 15 years. The existing Ameri contracts were seen to be very expensive, as $510 million cash flow over 5 years. The renegotiation was expected to achieve better terms for the country.
Well, you're still watching the Business Dashboard. We're taking a break here. When we return, we'll head to Nigeria for some international business news. Well, you're welcome back to the Business Dashboard live on City TV. Now, let's turn our attention to some international news. And in Nigeria, the federal government has threatened to withdraw the license of labor contractors that engage in anti-labor practices in the oil and gas sector. Well, they are saying the Minister of Labor and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, gave the warning while hosting the newly elected members of the National Administrative Council, NAC, of the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers in Abuja. He intimated that the ministry was working on reforming the grant and renewal of license to labor contractors to ensure adherence to expatriate quota and eschew unfair labor practices. He insisted that the ministry was poised to address the situation, saying the sanction against contractors that flout the law was in consonance with the executive order of the federal government to ensure that jobs reserved for indigents are not given to expatriates, as well as protect indigenous products over foreign products. He added that the ministry was making efforts to closely identify gaps in the operational guidelines and labor laws in the oil and gas sector. We move to Kenya, where the government is set to lose about 34 billion Kenyan shilling, which is about $336 million annually, to devious business people who sell petrol and diesel mixed with kerosene. This is according to the Petroleum Institute of East Africa, PIEA. Now, the PIEA said adulteration of petrol and diesel with kerosene creates unfair competition for players engaged in legitimate trade, with the country losing, 3 million shillings because of tax evasion. Now, the Energy Regulatory Commission, ERC, estimates about 5 million of the 33 million litres of kerosene consumed monthly in Kenya is utilized for lighting and cooking, while the balance is used for adulterating either diesel or petrol. Now, chairperson for PIEA, Anne Solange, said unsuspecting motorists who buy adulterated petrol and diesel incur high expenses repairing engine parts or purchasing new engines because of damage caused by fuel not complying to product standards. Kenya is trying to recover share of the market for oil product exports to Uganda and other countries lost as a result of adulteration. Now, authorities in Tanzania and Uganda also face a local illicit trade of adulterated fuel in the market. Ms. Solange said Petroleum Ministry has supported the call for elimination of more practices, noting that the impact of the illicit trade was underestimated until recently, when the Kenya Association of Manufacturers demonstrated its effect on local manufacturing. Well, that's it for Business Dashboard. For more stories from the world of business, do visit citybusinessnews.com. Oh, my name is Bobio Say. Thank you so very much for joining us for this edition of Business Dashboard. Do enjoy watching City TV.
Tune in to The Point of View.